practice teaching. In this video compilation, I am not going to go super in depth with every single pose. I will give you handouts and worksheets and guides for the poses so you can see the cues, and we'll practice cueing and talking through them. But I'm not going to give you a pose by pose breakdown within these videos. We're going to do that in our live group, go through each pose together, talk about a lot of things with the poses, the benefits, all of that. I'm not going to go through those, like I said, in these videos, but we are going to go through some ways to practice teach. So here I'll give you a list of the poses that we went through this week. And you can go ahead and go through and look for the benefits and the cues and the different things with each pose and write things down and take notes, all of that. There's a ton of great books out there and resources. But beyond that, this is for practice teaching. So our practice teaching, we did these poses, and each person had one pose, so they knew what pose they were going to do. And we kind of popcorned around, round robin style or popcorn style, to teaching their pose with a vinyasa, I also call it sun salutation highway, in between. So I'm going to give you an example of that with a few poses, okay? So then I'll give you that list. It would be great if you could go through all of those poses yourself, add a vinyasa in between, and teach with the pose, vinyasa, pose, vinyasa, pose, vinyasa, or pose, sun salutation highway, pose, sun salutation highway. And once you get into the pose, there's also the fact that you have to get out of it. There are 3 parts into a pose. It's the entrance into it. There's the pose itself, and then there's the exit out of it. So you've got to get all 3 of those with every single pose, of course, because we have to lead people in and then out. So once you get in it, you're right back out. So let's do it. So we started this in mountain pose. So mountain pose, and then I'm going to change the camera a little bit. Oops. There we go. Mountain pose. And I'm going to say I'm going to do warrior 2, tree, and wide forward fold. Let's get into those ones. So this is just to practice cueing in and out of poses. It's not to talk about the benefits, and if you fumble, that's okay, it's going to happen. It's really just getting your mind thinking about transitions from one pose to the next, using this vinyasa. Rather than just going pose to pose to pose to pose, use this flowing way. And also, it's also great to practice coming back to the sun salutation words and everything that we learned before. So we've got mountain pose here. We're in mountain pose. Talk to the body when you do this. So we're not just saying mountain pose, forward fold, half lift. If you can, use the inhales and the exhale cues, inhale and exhale as you cue. Of course, if it's a little bit much for you, leave those out to start and then add them in later. So we've got mountain pose. Ground down through the feet, shoulders roll back, and 3 cues in your pose is just fine. So 3 cues and arms by your side. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, open arms, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale, press the hands into shins, look forward, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands and step back to plank pose. Shift your shoulders over your fingertips, high plank on the tippy toes. Exhale, bend the elbows to the sides of the body, chaturanga. Inhale, press your heart forward, flip over the toes, up dog, shoulders roll back, heart open. Exhale, hips to the sky, belly in, downward facing dog. So that was our first vinyasa or sun salutation to get to down dog, and now we head towards warrior 2. Lift your right leg, take an inhale, heel to sky. Exhale, bend the knee and step between the hands. Back heel spins down, reach those arms out and up. Then open to warrior 2, right hand forward, left hand back. So then I would pick on someone else and then go from warrior 2 to tree pose, or whatever their pose would be, whatever the list is. So from warrior 2, bring your left arm down and around, reach up to warrior 1, inhale. Exhale, hands frame the front foot, step back to plank pose. Inhale, high up onto the toes, exhale, descend. Inhale, up dog, heart opens, exhale, down and facing dog. Bend the knees and walk to the top of the mat. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms reach out and up, rise up. Hands by your side. With that tree pose, of course I'm not facing you, let's just give it a little turn. Take your right foot, ground down through the left foot. Ankle makes a kickstand or in a T position on your arch of your left foot. Then bring the heel up, either a kickstand or start to bring the foot up higher and higher up the leg with the knee turned open, feeling that hip rotate. Yeah. We can always place it onto the thigh, avoiding the knee. Hands to your heart. Tree pose. Awesome. So then I would call on the next person. And they're going from tree pose to wide forward fold with that vinyasa in between. So we've got to get out of tree pose. Take your foot down, stand up, mountain pose. And instead of just going, all right, forward fold, we're using that vinyasa. We have to go back through that sun salutation to get to our wide forward fold. Reach up, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Half lift, inhale. Hands to the floor. Step or jump back, plank pose. High to the toes. Low, bend the elbows. Press the heart forward, inhale. And hands to sky, down dog. And right leg lifts, again, heel to sky. Bend the knee, step gently between the hands. Back heel spins down, warrior one, rise up. Then open to warrior two, we've been here before, right hand forward, left hand back. Straighten the front leg and turn the toes towards the windows or to the left, whatever you want to say. Feet are parallel, feet parallel to one another. Press down through the pinky toes and big toe, hands to your hips. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, fold it down, hands touch the floor. Take a lengthening breath, inhale. Just because I like that lengthening breath. Exhale, fold a little bit lower. Now we're in a wide forward fold. Next person would go. Let's say that it is, what do we want to do? Which pose? Chair pose. Now let's do the other side. Let's do a low lunge with the left leg forward. So I have to get out of this. Instead of just, I could, of course, just walk over into your low lunge. Instead, we have to head back through that vinyasa. So I'd pick the next person. They've got low lunge. We've got to get out of this. There are several ways to do that. For this one, and you can get a little bit creative with it, we can walk over to the side, pivot into a low lunge, so you don't have to come back up. Back heel lifts, just as long as you have that vinyasa. So step back, high to low plank, up dog, and downward facing dog. Left leg forward this time. Press firm through the heels without that leg lift. Exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands. Back heel wiggles back, hips low, hands on the ground framing that left foot. And look forward, low lunge. Maybe it's a twisted low lunge, whatever it is. And then coming out of this is going to be easy for the next person because all you do is press into the hands and step back. Chaturanga to up dog and down dog, and then find your way back to the next pose. And maybe it's chair pose. Bend the knees, sit back, reach up, chair pose. Come out of it, go through vinyasa and hit the next pose. I hope that makes sense. You don't have to go through mountain pose, or you don't have to stand up before going back. It's just going through the chaturanga, up dog, down dog, at least once in between each pose. So finding your way either back to down dog or to mountain pose standing if your pose is a standing balance pose. I also had everybody come up with at least one other way into their pose. So for example, into low lunge, you can lift your leg, step forward, lunge, or another way is to start from mountain pose, lift a knee, and step back. So at least two different ways into a pose. That for triangle pose, similar thing. There's one way we're up here, we can come into it, or we can start from the ground and then work your way into it. So a couple different ways into poses. For half moon is this pose right here. So you can come into it from warrior two, reach forward, take off. That's a very typical way into half moon. Another way, just thinking about it, lift a leg. I like this way, open the arms, and circle that leg around, heading into half moon. There's at least 2 different ways in every single pose, for every pose, to get into and out of it. If you can get into it that way, oftentimes you can also exit out that way. So you can get into it one way, and you can exit out in a different way, which is awesome. Transitions are important. It helps to create a cohesive, flowing class and flowing practice, and allows your students to feel that meditative state when they're in the flow. Without that, it can be very jarring for you and your students if we're just saying things like, okay, go back to down dog. Okay, now chair pose. Now boat pose. And then you're doing like weird types of things that just, how do I get into this? And that might happen once in a while where you mess up, and that's okay. That makes us human. It's actually really great to mess up once in a while. Avoid saying I'm sorry and just go with it and say whoops, or all right, other left, or your other hand, or let's switch legs. And I think that's great. Knowing that yoga teachers are human, we make mistakes, and it actually helps to connect us a little bit more with our class. So mistakes are fine. And so we're working on creating more of that flow feeling with our yoga classes. Good. So use that list that I have provided and go through and find the entrance and exit using a vinyasa in between. So doing chaturanga, up dog, down dog in between every single one. If you get tired, take your knees down. You can always do also prone position and cobra, just that vinyasa flow. Avoid, one special note here, avoid using the term take a vinyasa or vinyasa if you're telling your students what to do, because some people don't know what that is. So if you say, and now do a vinyasa, you may have to explain that first so that students aren't looking around and be like, what's a vinyasa? I call it vinyasa. I don't like necessarily calling it vinyasa for that reason, because students are like, I don't know, what is that? Isn't that the style of class? It can get confusing. So instead, just tell them chaturanga, up dog, down dog, talk to the body, tell them what to do, and go through the sun salutation highway or vinyasa in between each one. Happy practicing. It would be great if you did a video to practice so you can see and hear yourself, because it also helps to build confidence and also helps you track your progress. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.